My goodness, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier in Jackson County on these assessments. And frankly, I believe, and I put this up on social media yesterday, that it's becoming to the point where it's arguably criminal what is happening here, where people are potentially on the verge of getting priced out of their own homes because of the incompetency of Jackson County. I mean, yesterday we told you about this half-acre empty lot that KCTV5's Angie Ricono found that was valued at $356,270, along with 500 other homes at that same exact price. Thankfully, that homeowner appealed and won. That's now valued at $9,100. I mean, it's crazy. But what about the other end? What about people who, own $1 million homes that also are valued at suddenly $356,270? Angie, good morning. Thanks for all you're doing on this front. And what is that one about?
Hey, good morning, Pete. Well, at first we focused on the homeowners who appealed and won, because that kind of shows you what's really going on with this number by the county's own admission, right? You take everything before them and they're like, oh, yeah, that's actually worth $9,000. Or the homeowners showing their recent sales and it's worth $100,000, $120,000. So now we're looking at the other end, and we found a $1 million home. It was recently sold, so there's no arguing that it's a $1 million home, and it was sold in December. So if they're looking at MLS, which they claim they are, they should have a really firm price on this. And somehow it's at $356,270. And when you look at this property compared to all of the neighbors, I mean, all of the homes on this street are anywhere valued from, let me see, 670 is the lowest. We've got $1 million properties, and somehow this house, which has close to 6,000 square feet, an in-ground pool and a cabana on one of the largest lots, is $356,270.
And where is this again?
I'm not revealing where it's at because and I want to explain why. Because we don't want to pick on any one homeowner, right? Because whoever bought this house, this was not their intention. This appears to be a mistake by the county, right? They had nothing to do with it. We found another homeowner, also a December sale. These are all December sales. And their home was $760,000. And I contacted that homeowner. And they were like, what are you talking about? Because they hadn't even gotten their assessment in the mail, which is something we've consistently heard from people, that they didn't get their assessment. So who knows what happened there? We'll be reaching out to this homeowner today about this. Maybe they know about it, maybe they don't, but they're getting one heck of a break, while other people are just really being rammed up in value.
Well, I mean, since you're not revealing who they are, and I totally respect that, I mean, those people, if you got $1 million home and the county wants to value it at $356,270, I mean, are you going to scream, hey, that number's wrong, or are you just going to kind of hide and lay low?
And we've seen that. I mean, and this is the sad thing in the assessment, because you now have neighbors who are looking at their assessment. And I think part of what ends up happening is they start looking at their neighbors. They're like, did we all go up in this neighborhood? Mm-hmm. And it really kind of creates some tension, because you see you're paying an incredible amount and something else happened with the neighbor. And Pete, I do want to point out, we're seeing this in all different neighborhoods. My photographer, his neighborhood, his house went up between 50 and 60%. He challenged it, and he agreed it should go up, but not to the level the county had. And we looked around his whole neighborhood, lots of increases, but then you have one home that dropped 20% in value, and it makes no sense. So we see this in almost any and every neighborhood. It's like a Yahtzee, like what comes out. You're going to see some dramatic increases, some moderate increases, and then there's a lucky homeowner or two where their values dropped. And when you drive down the street, you can't go, oh, okay, that makes sense that that's the home that has the decrease in value. It doesn't work like that.
So I assume, Angie Ricono, KCTV5, I assume it's fair to say you have not heard from anybody at the county level on any of this as of late, as you continue your investigative work?
No. In fact, when we directly tried to get some answers, because, of course, they have a legislative meeting, Gail McCann-Beatty, who's the assessor, she did not show up. County Executive Frank White, he was not there. So the person left to answer these questions was Troy Schulte, who's the county administrator. And he said, we don't think it's a mistake, because the legislature is asking about it too. And then when we spoke with him one-on-one, he was like, this is just the opinion of one data expert. But now we have two experts saying this is an obvious error. And when you go and speak to the homeowners, they're like, if this isn't an error, what is it?
So
how do you value an empty piece of land with no house on it for $356, $270? And there's two lots. We have found two empty lots.
Wow. Two empty. So there was the one for $356 that got brought down to $9,000. There's another one.
Yeah. And you know what's really sad? She missed the appeal deadline. When she got it in the mail, she thought it was a scam because it was so ridiculous. And, you do get stuff on your phone. Netflix, your account has been compromised. So I think a lot of people are aware of scams. And when she got this, she's just like, no, this can't be accurate. This is some sort of phishing thing. She's trying to work with the county now, but she paid $25,000. So, there's a clear sale. You're supposed to, this is supposed to be part of the formula, right? The county's telling us this is their formula. They're looking at your previous value. They're sprinkling in MLS data, the recent sales. And then remember, they're supposed to be doing physical inspections where they drive by and say, okay, does all of this make sense? And the homeowners we're speaking with are like, how did anybody drive by and look? How did anybody go down this street and go, okay, this is accurate?
Wow.
It's a good question from homeowners. We would love some answers. And we've reached out to Tyler Technologies because, their name is associated with this now. They're the third-party vendor, paid millions of tax dollars to get this assessment right. And they just point the finger at the county. The county will answer the questions.
Well, why isn't the county holding Tyler Technologies' feet to the fire?
I think that you have legislators who want to do that because they're paying a lot of money and they're hearing from constituents that there were mistakes. And I think where we're at now is people are not just saying, okay, it's a one-off, it's a one-off, it's a one-off. You start looking at this value, which has never been used before in any assessment. Okay, we've never seen it, 2019, 2020 and on. Never seen that value. All of a sudden it's showing up, and it appears to be wildly wrong when the homeowners challenge it. But something else, I know we found $1 million house, but overall, this is really hurting homeowners in Jackson County. They have increased 168.3% if you just isolate that value. So that's 5 times the average increase in Jackson County. And so I think data experts are like, did anybody check this data? You've got 500 homes. This is the second most commonly used value for residential properties in Jackson County. The most common one are for empty lots that are now like in the 3,000s. So this is your number one value for a residential property with a house most of the time.
Unbelievable.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Angie, keep up the great work. You're doing things that others are unfortunately not doing, but it's good for you and good for the homeowners and whatnot in Jackson County. So thank you for the time.
Oh, and Pete, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Angie Ricono of KCTV5.